Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out, just like you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Can I Park Here podcast, brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. My name is Nashay Snow, and I'm here with
Estrell Riles.
Today, we're going to be addressing a question from a listener, and so we're going to play it in a second. But before we do that, but before we do that, we just wanted to. What do we want to say? Do we want to say anything?
Not really, except I hope you guys listened to the last episode about business cards because you need them, you need them, you need them. That's all.
Yeah. And also, remember, if you have a mobile boutique, head on over to findafashiontruck.com. Only mobile boutiques. Sorry, regular boutiques. And make sure to sign up for a membership. If you're not a mobile boutique, but you still just want to get a newsletter and be able to favorite your fashion, like favorite fashion trucks, then you could sign up for a general membership. And then, of course, this episode will be available on YouTube. It's just the two of us today, which means there will be a video recording. And let's see. I think that's all. Yeah, that's it. So let's have a listen to Lori's question.
Hello, my name is Lori, and I live in the suburbs of Chicago. And I know that you give information on mobile boutiques, which I hope in the next 48 months to be one of those owners. But for the time being, I was wondering if you have any information on pop-up shops. I know they're pretty popular, and I was thinking of doing one myself, and I've just been doing some research and just wondering if you all have any information that you could share. Again, my name is Lori. The name of my boutique is JoJo's Closet Boutique. And I'm just doing vendor events and ladies events wherever I can show my wares. That's where I am. I don't have a website yet. I do need some assistance in that. And I'm not on any social media yet. And that's all forthcoming. So thank you for your time and thanks for listening. Bye now.
That was a great question by Lori. I think a lot of people who aren't ready yet for either a brick and mortar or a mobile boutique, like a pop-up shop is a great option.
Yeah, and Lori, I just wanted to say I'm in Chicago too. So, hey, there are several different options for a pop-up. You said you do vendor events, which is cool. And also you mentioned that you don't have a website yet or any social media accounts. Now, what I do recommend is that because you are doing craft fairs and vendor events, etc., I think that you definitely need to work on getting your social media accounts set up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It is important. You have no idea because the people that you meet at these fairs, they're going to want the information so they can know how to follow you. So they want to follow you to see what you're up to, what new stuff you have, and how to get in contact with you. So make sure you have your social media account set up and have business cards. They are all super important. But in regards to pop-ups, I think a lot of people don't even know what a pop-up shop is. So a pop-up shop is really any event that lasts for a short amount of time that is most of the time just sprung on people. Like it's not even announced. So that really could be anything from farmers market, yard sale, to just posting up outside of a boutique or a grocery store or in a mall, anything. So you don't even have to necessarily find another pop-up shop to participate in. You can actually do your own pop-up shop. There's a really cool infographic that we found on Pinterest. We will include the link to the in the show notes, and it's very, very helpful. It has a lot of information in there.
Yeah, I mean, we found like a couple of them that were great, which is awesome. So we don't have to recreate anything.
Less work for us.
Right. But the I want to mention one in particular right now. It's by Shopify, and it's 8 reasons to do a pop up shop. And I think this is really relevant because in the last episode, I told you guys like how I'm experimenting with Shopify for my personal website. And the reason why Shopify and other places like this work well is because you can have a reader. So anywhere you go, you can just put in that card reader and then just swipe the card and keep on moving. So Shopify is a website, but Lori, if you're not ready to invest the money into a website, then you could still use like Square because you don't have to have a website for Square. You just put all of the items right into Square and then, keep it moving, get the reader, and you're ready to go. But there's like a couple of things I just want to mention quickly from this infographic that I think is important that they point out. And one, they say the pop up shops are great to just test a new revenue stream. So that means, like, even if you actually have a mobile boutique, but you want to, like, maybe do a craft fair or do some other type of event, it's a way for you to test out, like, is this a good way to like or alternate way to make sales, right? And do you make as much as you do, or at least enough to kind of consider them as an option? Another thing they mention is like engaging customers offline. And I like this too because it's funny, Estrella and I are probably different when it comes to this. Like, I am an extreme extrovert, meaning that I get like recharged basically from talking to people, being with people, being around people, where I believe Estrella is more of an introvert.
I hate talking to people.
And
Like,
being around people.
I'm very antisocial. Like, I won't talk to you unless you initiate the conversation.
But if you're an extrovert like me, sometimes like online sales could feel very cold because you can't meet the people and talk about your products. So this is a way for you to engage your customers offline. So let's say if you are let's say if you do have a website, Lori, in your case, I know you don't, but let's say one of you guys out there do have a website, but you're not ready to do a mobile boutique. It's a great way to be like, put like something on your website, like, hey, I'll be at the blah, blah, blah craft fair, or I'll be like at the beauty shop on, whatever street. And then your customers will actually come out to you and they'll be able to touch and feel your products in person, which is great.
Right.
And it also mentions shoppers love holidays, and we have one of the biggest holidays coming up, and that is Christmas. So there's going to be all kind of bazaars and fairs, and so it's just pop-up shops are a great way to just kind of capitalize on the holidays a little bit. So definitely, Lori, you should either like try to create some events yourself or kind of get in on some events that are out there. Bless you.
Thank you, Nashay. Thank you. Anywho, so I would like to suggest a cool website to go to if you want to get a little bit more information about pop-ups. It's called popuprepublic.com. The link will also be in the show notes. This is really a cool site because it helps people find pop-up shops. It actually works with organizers and event planners to actually promote different pop-up shops across America. You can actually go to the site and search for pop-up shops in your area that you would like to attend, and they also have a link to their online store. So if you don't have a website and you're not using like Etsy or anything like that, you can actually sign up to sell your product on their online store, and it'll actually increase your audience to reach people globally. So it's kind of cool. So again, the website is popuprepublic.com.
Yeah. And then just to, I know Astrell gave a definition earlier, but I want to point out another thing that was on another infographic by Vend, which I'll also include in the show notes. And it gives like the different types of pop up retail stores. So you have like an actual retail store. So it's interesting. There's actually a store, for example, in Chicago. They have like a regular brick and mortar location, but they're going into the Hyde Park area only for 6 months for the holidays as a pop up shop. Um, there's the mall. A lot of times malls will let you like do a kiosk in the middle, or they'll have like fairs or other things like that. You can have a booth at different festivals. Um, Actually, store space, like taking advantage of like an existing store. One store that's really good about working with especially handmade vendors is Elm. And I've seen stuff in their magazines. And then I believe they also sell stuff in their stores too. So maybe you can like broker a deal with one of your local stores. So that's sort of kind of like your stuff is popping up, even though you're not physically there.
Wait, what
And
store is this?
West Elm.
Okay, because you just
I
said
should have
Elm.
said
I'm like,
Elm. Oh, yeah, my
what?
bad. Yeah, I meant
But yes,
West
West
Elm.
Elm is awesome. It's one of my favorite stores. And I was just at an event over the weekend with a guy who he sells handmade soaps, and he actually has his products in West Elm in the local handmade section. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you can advertise yourself as being a designer in one of those big chain stores, and it'll get you more
Mhm.
exposure.
Absolutely. And also, Lori, I'm not sure if you make your own products or if you're kind of buying products wholesale. But if you are making your own products, not only can you get possibly in stores like West End, but you can look into like consignment or wholesale. That's not necessarily popping up, but it's just another way to get your products out there if you have your own product line.
And it also lets you extend your reach to participate in the actual handmade vendor events, because those
Hmm.
are very popular. People love handmade stuff.
I love it. I do. Anything, clothes, soaps, like you name it, people love it. um, and then, the last infographic, at least, that I'll mention is another one that's called Pop Up Retail: How to Make It a Success. And it's just kind of like it's a great infographic that's like chock full of like lots of information to like what the industry is doing. I think it's like $117 billion in 2012 for US consumer spending. That is insane, right? Like, so people are out there, they want to buy. And so having a pop up shop in the right location or partnering with the right person or company can be extremely, extremely lucrative. Um, and maybe, Astro, we could talk a little bit about how to set up a pop up shop because you just finished doing a craft fair too. So like we were talking earlier about the importance of your setup. So let's say if you are like physically popping up somewhere, like at a fair, at a festival, at a mall, wherever, you want your setup to look pretty nice. You want, for example, to figure out like what's going to be in your background, if anything. How's your table going to be set up? Like you might want like one or two or multiple cloths, how, if you sell jewelry, how does that jewelry stand look? If you're selling bags, like do you need like racks or something, and how interesting do those racks look? If you are selling something, for example, that people are trying on, do you have a mirror? One thing, I just went to the Crafty Bastards fair this past weekend and spent way too much money. And another thing that the tables had, which I really liked, where all of them had like sign up sheets, right? Everybody had a sign up sheet and everybody had either business cards, flyers, or both. So those are some things that are, that you need to think about when you're thinking about the setup of your booth.
And you also want your booth set up to reflect your brand and the product that you're selling, because you can't just have like a fold up table and a white tablecloth and a banner, because that's not going to cut it. You have to get really, really creative. Like, I was amazed at all of the vendors and how long it took them to set up and how intricate their booths were. Like, there were
Mm-hmm.
people actually building their booth. Like, I mean, like wood, putting together wood pieces, shelves, like everything. It was ridiculous. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it was awesome. It looked
Yeah.
great.
And then some other things to think about is like depending on where you're setting up, like what's your Wi-Fi connection? So let's say if you are using Square or Shopify or Vend or whatever your POS is of choice, are you just going to be going off of your 3G, 4G network? Do you need a router because maybe you're selling stuff on your phone and you have somebody else selling stuff on the computer? Think about like what happens, like or how you will take care of your transactions, and then how will you take care of your transactions if some reason you don't have a good signal there and they don't have Wi-Fi, right? So you have to have contingencies, like make sure you like have a receipt book. Like I have like some old school receipt books like I could pull it out now, but just in case. And really you just determine like how you're going to handle money. Like, are you, if you're handling cash, like what are you going to put it in to make sure it's secure? How do you make sure that it's on you at all times just in case you're walking away? You really need to think about like all of the logistics of like the area that you're going to be selling in. um Also, I want to mention too, so Laura, you say you don't have any social media accounts, but Astra already said definitely get them. But even if you have like personal social media accounts like Facebook, create some buzz. Hey, I'm going to be at the mall selling this weekend. Come out and see me, you guys. Bring your friends. Please share this post, just so you could like drum up more business. Don't be shy.
And I want to kind of touch on the retail pop ups again. You don't necessarily have to try and get into the bigger brand stores like Target or West Elm or whatever in order to have a pop up. You can actually create your own. Take for instance, if you know that there is a really great location and there is a vacant store or anything, maybe find out how much it would be to rent out the space for like
Mm,
4 hours or half of a day or something like that. Go for it. If you have the money, go for it and just create a space that is inviting and where you can sell your products within that small amount of time. Create a little buzz. Don't announce it like 2 weeks in advance, because that really isn't a pop-up shop. That's like, so, but have your friends put out some buzz. Get everybody there. Have music, have food, just have a good time and see how much you could sell. I mean, it's worth it. And if you don't have the funds in order to do it by yourself, maybe partner up with somebody else who has a small business. One of you can be on one side and the other person on the other, and just bring everything together and have a small pop up in that
Mm-hmm.
space that you're renting out.
Yeah. And as far as the space is renting out, like I could think of one. There's like one in the DC area near Eastern Market, and every time I pop up past the little area, like the retail space on 8th Street, a new place is in there. So you could just like rent a place out for a day or a weekend or a couple of weekends in a row, put some buzz out there, tell people you're going to be there. If you're doing it in a pretty popular area, you'll probably like get like traffic too just from the area.
Right. Street
So
traffic.
yeah. So, like, look for like spaces for rent or storefronts for pop-up boutiques. Like Google that, and you'll probably find some good places or like websites that will help you find places like that in your area. So those are definitely really good for possible pop-ups.
And even if you have, say, a friend or a family member who has a small boutique or any type of little store, it could be a ice cream shop or a t-shirt shop, whatever. It if you talk to them and ask them, hey, can you let me use this venue maybe after hours, after they close, or even if they want to shut the store down in the middle of the day or something like that, and you pay them, then maybe that's a way to go instead of looking for empty retail space. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to get creative with it. And don't
Yeah.
be afraid to ask people for things like friends, family members, friends of friends, like whoever. Don't be afraid to ask, because you never know. They might say, okay, let's do it.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
So,
But yeah, so I mean, essentially to just kind of like wrap this up, for this episode, just think about, one thing, like for example, I was just talking to Estrella about this for my personal business. Like right now I have a Google spreadsheet, and basically what I'm doing is I'm putting like all the places that I want to sell my stuff at, like on the sheet. I'm putting when the events normally happen, roughly what the fees are, so I can see at a glance um like which ones might interest me. And like right now there's three big ones for me where I'm like, okay, I really want to be a part of these. I want to make sure that as soon as the applications come out, that I apply for them, have a good write up for them, and then I could go from there. So Lori, when it comes to that, like, pop-up shops are excellent, but it's all about the planning. So one, create a list in a spreadsheet with all of the possible like locations or fairs or whatever that you want to be a part of, so then you know when to apply. Two, let's say if you want to pop up at like a store or something, make sure you have some kind of presentation that has pictures of the products you sell and maybe even what your like booth or your setup will be, so they'll see if like your style meets their style. So always have that on your phone, your tablet, something. Make sure they're good professional photos so you can have like a really polished presentation if you go in and talk to someone. Um, Make sure that you have a good idea for your booth, and make sure that it looks pretty, or if you're not if it shouldn't look pretty, just make sure it looks good. Like if you're a guy, like make sure, and you're selling bow ties, that it kind of it looks like your brand. Make sure that you know how you're handling sales, your point of sale system. Make sure you have a backup just in case your phone is not working. Make sure you have a money bag. Make sure you ask questions about like the connectivity in those particular locations. And make sure that you have enough um, supplies, like actual stuff. Like, it was interesting at the Crafty Bastards by day 2, people were like running out of items for their shops. So some shops day 2, by the time I got there, they were already sold out. So make sure you kind of have a good idea of like, um, how popular you might be in a certain area, and make sure you have like enough products to sell.
Yeah,
And
it's
am I
better to
forgetting
have
anything?
more or an excess of product than not enough.
Right. Um, and I think that was it. Like those are some of like the key things. And oh, just the last thing is market like crazy. Tell people where you're going to be ad nauseum. Tell them. And make sure that you have business cards printed, and make sure you collect email addresses wherever you go. So, I feel like those are kind of like the takeaways from this, Lori. Um, you know, hopefully that answers your question about like pop-up shops and how to have a successful pop-up shop, no matter how you define it, be it craft fairs at a mall or whatever.
And also in regards to participating in craft fairs, being a vendor, like Nashay said, like plan it out. Look at the different events that are coming up. Not only find out when the applications are due, but find out what the vendor fee is, because you want to make sure that you are prepared and that you're able to financially take care of that. Take, for instance, I love the Renegade Craft Fair. I wanted to be a vendor in the holiday show this December, but the application cutoff was on the 25th of September. So I missed it. And not only did I miss it, the vendor fee is $500. And I was like, what? So technically, even if I was able to complete the application, I mean, $500, that's a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
I missed it, but hey, that's a lot of money. So I would have had to prepare for that, if I wanted to get off of that much money at one time. And at the same time, keep in mind that fairs like that, big popular ones, they are juried events. And juried means that there's no guarantee that you will get accepted. They actually take the time to look at all of the applicants, look at their products, look at their price points, and determine whether or not that their brand fits their brand.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that your pictures are great, that you have a website or a social media account to link to, because you're going to need that when you apply to the really big events. Because
Mhm.
they need, the jurors need something to base whether or not they're going to, accept your application. They need to see what your products are.
Yeah. Like for example, I just applied, fingers crossed I'll find out next week. So if you all don't hear about this again, that means I didn't get in. Uh but but I applied for I think it's called the Holiday Heap in Baltimore, which is a like pretty big one. I think it's like 40 or so vendors. And they're like they give you 3 photos. That's it. 3 photos, like a paragraph to explain like your business. This is one of the more affordable ones. They have like a $10 non-refundable application fee. And then I believe like if you're accepted, then you have to pay like $100. But they have like I've been there several times, so it's definitely worth it because they get a lot of traffic the weekend that they do it. So the thing about it is you gotta have nice photos, to be competitive. And even then, you might not get accepted. But if your photos don't really look good, then that's that gives somebody a reason to just immediately like discount you, and you don't want that. And then always have like a write up too, of like a little paragraph that kind of explains like your business and what you do, so you could just kind of use it over and over again. I've used it everywhere, like the Martha Stewart handmade like personal website. Anytime someone says they need something, I just copy and paste, and I might tweak it a little bit. And I'm like, this is me. Here you go.
And then they want to know why you feel you would be a good fit
Oh
for that
yeah.
particular show. And that one
Yeah.
always gets me. It's like, why I want to be a vendor there. I want to make some money. That's how I know I'm gonna be a good fit.
Yeah.
So I never
Yeah.
know how to answer that. But it's just all tricky. Like I remember earlier this year, there's a show in Chicago called Show of Hands, and it's a really big show for handmade designers. And Shay and I decided to apply and share a booth. Well, after about 2 months of waiting, we finally heard back that we weren't accepted. I was devastated. And I was devastated, like seriously. And it's like, I don't know why I wasn't accepted. I don't know if it was because I was so new with my, selling my products and I didn't have enough product or I didn't have like really good photos. Like, I don't know what it is because they don't tell you why you're not accepted. But just make
Yeah.
sure that when you do apply, that you're on your game.
Mm-hmm. And know that don't take it personal if you're not, because a lot of times, especially in the DC area, when I go to these different festivals, I see the same people every year or at the same festivals. So I feel like there's some like secret network,
Really?
underground craft fair network that I'm not a part of, probably.
Underground. Wow.
Because it's like it's the same folks who have awesome stuff. So I feel like that makes it even harder because if people have done an event before and they were pretty successful, they'll probably get accepted again. And so really truly, like, if you're brand new, like it's just harder to get in because the people who've been doing it for a while are getting that preference.
Right.
But so I just mentioned that to say, like, don't get discouraged because your stuff could be awesome. It's just that in truly they probably are only accepting maybe 10% new vendors or whatever because they have everybody from last year coming again this year, so don't
Right.
get discouraged.
Like I did.
Yeah. I know when you told me, I was like, oh, okay.
And I was like, my life is over. My product sucks.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that. And keep going, A closed mouth doesn't get fed. So continue to ask people, go out there, and don't be afraid of hearing no. And that's been always my philosophy. The worst anybody could say is no. And what is that going to do? It's not going to do anything. Like, what is no? I don't care about no. Forget no.
Really?
Wow. For those of you who are watching the video, did you all just see that look Astro gave? It was kind of like, it was mean.
Whatever. Or as you say, whatevs. Like
Whatevs.
such a loser thing to say. But
But that's it.
yeah.
I hope
So
this was helpful.
yeah, and if any of you guys listening ever have questions like Lori did, please feel free to either shoot us an email or go to our website and leave us a voice recording message just like Lori. And we will play it on the air and try to answer it as best as we can. We are here to
Absolutely.
help.
Yeah. And like I said, last episode, we've got some really cool mobile boutiques coming up. I know you guys are like, well, where are they? They coming.
That was her hood side coming out.
Right.
They coming. Never mind her.
But hopefully you guys found this useful. If you want to see the show notes that have like the infographics that we mentioned and anything else, please head on over to afashion-truck.com. The link, if you're listening to this show, like right when it airs, the link, you'll probably see a thumbnail image right on the front page. But if not, just scroll down to the search bar and type in pop-up, and this show will come right up. Also, definitely follow us on social media. We are on Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram and also Twitter. Just type in findafashiontruck.com. On Instagram, know that we're FFT underscore official underscore. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and the private Facebook group, definitely join it if you're a mobile boutique owner or want to be a mobile boutique owner, and it's called Let's Talk About Fashion Trucks. So that's all, folks. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
Toodles. Thanks for parking here.
Peace.